Number 8, use AI to help you stay healthy and happy. AI can help you stay healthy and happy by tracking your fitness, providing reminders to take medications, offering up tips of how to improve your mental health. So if AI keeps you at your best, then you get to share your best with the ones you love. I like that one. I think we use a ton of trackers. So we use sleep trackers, we use fitness trackers, we use meditation, biofeedback, neurofeedback. Those are all AI driven because it's using algorithms and information that it's gathering from you that then give you suggestions. I think the coolest one was what was her name? Gosh, I can't remember her name. The doctor from Whoop. They were building in female Kristen Holmes. So they were building in cycle tracking for women so that it would use the AI database to track your rhythms and cycles and give you insight on now's your time to sprint. Now's your time to snuggle up and recoup. Now's your time to rejuvenate. Now's your time to rest. Based on where you're at in your cycle, it's giving you real-time feedback of exactly how to get the most out of this type of experience or this part of the experience of life.
All right, Robbins.
I mean, either that or we just need to stand outside in the line the moons.
No, I thought that actually was brilliant. I was very excited when Whoop rolled that out, which was basing what the activity is that you should be aiming for based on the phases of a woman's cycle. I thought actually was really brilliant.
And it's customized. Like it's literally taking your information real time. I made a joke about the moons, but like otherwise we have to use external data to try to figure out internal challenges or internal situations versus this is using real-time internal information that your body's pushing out and saying, here's how to customize how you're going about your day-to-day to make sure you're getting the most out of this moment. Because in a moment when you're supposed to be rejuvenating, if you're out sprinting, wondering where the extra gas is, you're going to be frustrated versus you're like, nah, this is a rejuvenation moment. Use it, maximize it, then slam on the gas.
That's right. So I do like it for that perspective, actually. I think that's really brilliant and great insight. I am going to definitely promote the more we can connect with our bodies and be in touch with them and really listen in is going to serve us so tremendously well. Because when the app breaks or the software is down or whatever, and you're just lost, I think it can serve, but let's not be dependent on it. Sure. I think use it as look at it for what the insights that it shares, but ultimately, if we can really cultivate a deep connection, listening, a trust, an understanding, a connection with our bodies, it would serve us so tremendously well. And I think that there is a lot of tech that it's providing insight, but it's not cultivating connection with our bodies. We're just still treating it like a machine and like, okay, this is what I need you to do, instead of like, what's it really saying? There's true wisdom that our body shares, but we're becoming so disconnected from it. So I think this is great. I would encourage people not to become so dependent on it. And even with myself, like I wear Aura, I wore Whoop, I wore Whoop, and they're great. Fitbit, all of them, and Apple Watch, all of them. And I have to say, regardless of whether I like or dislike, agree or disagree with the data, I'm like, thank you. And what do I feel? What feels real for me? Because it may say, go, charge, you can conquer today. And I still have to listen in. And on the flip side, it may say rest. I'm like, I'm feeling pretty good. So I think it's really important that you really listen in for yourself first and then rely on the data to also give some extra insight and then choose what really resonates and lead with that.
I'm split on this one. I agree we have to learn how to listen to our internal self. I think the challenge is we're trying to move so fast and do so many things with so much going on in our life that most people's ability to sit quietly for 30 minutes in the morning and just listen to their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions, it doesn't exist right now at this time in history.
So this brings up such a great point, actually, because I feel like I shouldn't laugh, but I can't help but chuckle to think that we're like, how do I find happiness? How do I get healthy? How do I manage my stress? And we know all these things. And yet we're still searching for the solution. And the solution is slow down. The solution is eat healthier, move your body. We have the research and all the studies, and it goes back to the simplest things. So this idea of like, I need more, I need this technology, I need this access to get these answers is like, that's not it. Actually, it's almost like we're doing it backwards when it's the simplest thing that actually brings us more health, more happiness, more love, more peace, right?
So question, we know that, you know that.
Yeah.
What keeps you from doing it?
Keeps me from doing it? Keeps me from doing it? I'm doing pretty good.
You're
actually,
doing really
I've recalibrated and I continue to recalibrate. So what keeps me from doing it?
But real life for people. Like,
oh my
what
gosh.
keeps people from doing it? You have a toddler that wakes up at 5 a.m. sometimes. We have like all the little things that
it's
just
our culture.
show up in our day,
Yeah.
the way we want to live, how much we're trying to get done. We have 3 different companies running at the same time that we're trying to manage all of them at the same time. We have all these other things in motion.
Yeah.
And so it's that piece. I fight with this all the time where, I mean, I think it was 3 mornings ago, you messaged me, you're like, hey, I got to jump on this. Can you handle these calls?
Yeah.
And the first day I was like, no problem. I got your back.
Yeah.
Second day I wrote back, no.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I didn't want to.
Right.
Not because I didn't have the time or skill set to. Because I was starting to violate the space I had created specifically for this thinking time, meditation, breath work, all the things that are creating the space for me to hear and listen to what's actually going on and get to that centered place to then go. Now, people like to make fun of that. They're like, whoa, geez. I mean, in my world, I don't have the privilege to have that kind of space. And I always say, I said this the other day, I was like, we worked really hard to have that space. In the beginning, I didn't have it. I had to wake up at 4 a.m. to find it. But we worked really hard to have that space at a good quality time of the day in the morning. But then it's the behavior of protecting it.
Yeah.
It's someone you love saying, hey, can you just do this for me? Hey, could you just handle this? Hey, could you take these? Hey, could you just, and at some point going, I'm willing to help out a little bit. At that point, I have to say no, because I've created this space to be able to listen and understand what's going on in my body and navigate it properly.
I think the answer...
And at this stage of life, that's really hard to do.
Yeah, I think the answer that keeps coming up in a lot of conversations I've been having lately, and like even with us, is boundaries. Yeah. And working smarter, not harder. Yeah. And I think that every time we're like, we got to do these things. If you have boundaries in place, first of all, or guardrails, as we call them, of like protecting your life and your sanity and your mental health and well-being and your health and your relationship, you have boundaries and guardrails around that so dang tight. Yep. You're going to be forced to work smarter, because this concept of working harder and grind culture will let work seep into every area and minute of your day.
Yeah, especially with the work from home stuff.
Exactly. There's no boundary. It all bleeds into it. It gets into one another. And so if we have really strict boundaries and guardrails to protect the things that matter most to us, and we build our work around it, it's going to force us to work a lot smarter. Even with that, those calls went into a time when I couldn't take them. I asked you, I knew that wasn't a time when you could take them. And you could have said no, and I would have been a little frustrated. But the problem wasn't that you wouldn't take them. And the problem wasn't that it was kind of that I scheduled them at a time when I shouldn't have. The true issue is that I need to figure out a way to consolidate and to really streamline and systematize that workflow. But when we don't do that, we just let it go wherever, and it will find its way into every moment and minute of our life, and eventually start eating away at our relationships and our health and our mental wellness and all of those things. So boundaries and working smarter, not harder. We've really got to like think through our processes and try not to do everything. There's a lot to unpack there.
Totally.